How's it going? So I'm assuming you're watching this video because you are currently struggling with actually getting people to book appointments. Maybe you're not getting enough as you would like on your calendar. Maybe you're making all this content, but like no one is actually like booking calls. You're telling people to DM you, no one's DMing you, all that type of stuff. So if you can't book appointments, this is the video for you. And I'm going to split this into two sections. Actually, I'm not too sure if I'll do that. This might be two separate videos. But this first video, like the one you're watching right now, is for people who already have a decent sized audience. So you should be watching this. If you already have an audience, you're sending out content to people and you're already building up stuff. If you don't have if you don't have at least 2,000 followers, because I think this is a decent amount to make this work on like Instagram or like Twitter or like Facebook, even like 2,000 followers on Facebook or like 2,000 friends, this is what you need to have to make this work efficiently and make this worthwhile. If you don't, then I don't think this strategy would work the best for you, because this is more of like an inbound/outbound strategy. If you don't have a personal brand, you can still book appointments. I have a different workflow for that, so you probably have to watch a different video, but this is for you if you already have a decent audience. So this is how you can solve your lead flow. Basically, what ends up happening, I'm going to explain to you this psychology over here. And basically, anyone that follows you, anyone that likes a comment, anyone that does any sort of interaction with you is basically implicitly requesting like, hey, I want to know more about this guy. I like to use the analogy of like, let's say you go out to like a bar, for example, and like you go to a bar, like you're talking, and then there's this girl that you're looking at, and she's kind of like eyeing you in a certain way. She's kind of like giving you the eyes, but she's not going directly towards you. She might want you to approach her, but she's not going directly towards you. And this is basically what's happening with your lead flow. You're basically pushing out all this content, you're giving out all this value, and you're getting people that are just like sending you those signals. They're liking, they're commenting, maybe they're giving you a follow. But what are you doing? You're not reaching out to any of those types of people. So a lot of the times people are like, oh, my content isn't getting leads. But no, you can't just expect everyone to come towards you, especially when you're still at that lower following range. Like, people aren't just going to throw the arms towards you, even though you have something that you can offer. So the first part about fixing the lead flow is by actually obviously pushing out the content that gets people interested, but then reaching out to the people who actually engage with the content. So this is exactly how you're going to solve the lead flow. So for example, with this person right here, one single post, that's 249 people who have literally requested to know a little bit more about what he does, because they're not going to like the thing, they're not going to follow him if they didn't think that he was interesting. So when you do these posts and when you have these numbers and people reach out to you, they're interesting. You're being interesting to them. Kind of like how when you put a request on my poll, or when you saw this video, you were interested in me, and then I came to you and I offered you this asset, and you're like, oh, thanks for that. There's no way you would have come to me and DM me of like, hey, I need your help to solve appointments, even though you might have had the issue of solving appointments. So you kind of see how everything kind of ties together. So you see, leads are basically everywhere. You can literally get leads on a daily basis. You can book calls on a daily basis, because every follow is someone saying, this person is interested, I want to know more. Every like is someone saying, this person is interested, I want to know more. Every comment is someone saying, this person is interested, I want to know more. So that's leads on a daily basis, because there's no way you're not getting this on a daily basis. So all you simply just have to do is basically just have someone, or make you yourself, reach out to these people. And I'm going to show you exactly what to say to these people that's actually going to get them to book a course. Because a lot of the time people are just going to leave it at this, and they'll be like, oh, now you can buy my 99 course or whatever. I'm going to literally show you the exact script of what to actually say. So let's jump right into that. So let's jump into inbound science. This is how you can book calls with anyone who likes, comments, and shares and follows. So anytime you get any sort of engagement, it is an implicit request to learn more information about you. So I'm going to show you that you're going to strengthen your brand and your skills. And the more you do this, by the way, it actually helps you reach out more people, because what happens when you interact with a follower, like especially a new follower, people are going to be like, oh, the algorithm is going to think that you're interacting with people, so you're going to be sent to more and more people, essentially. So it's actually a good thing by doing it this way. So the first thing you want to do is you want to create context, engaging intent. So this is where most people mess up, because a lot of people will do like, hey, how's it going, glad to connect. Like, no, don't say stuff like that. Don't say glad to connect. You're not glad to connect with them. You're simply not. So don't say that. So what you need to do is you want to basically gauge intent of what you're basically selling. So you want to be like, hey, name, you want to create context, which is how you've seen them. So for example, hey name, thanks for the follow. Or like, hey name, I've seen you around. Are you following me because you're looking to sign more high ticket clients? So let's say, for example, with Quasi here, his stuff be like, hey, are you following me because you're looking to learn how to master your reality? Are you following me because you want to learn how you can use your reality to hit your goals? Is that why you're following me? And then what you can do to even increase the reply rate is you can actually make a fake typo and just be like whoops in there. And what happens is that most people just think like, oh, this person is just he's just a normal guy. Like he's not, because this works super well and it also boosts reply rates. So you can actually do this intentionally and you will get replies. Do this and you're instantly always gonna get people to be like, oh wow, yeah, like this is interesting. And then what's gonna happen is people are gonna say one of three things. They'll be like, yeah, I mean, yeah, I followed you because I wanted to learn more about how you do your stuff. Some people will say like maybe they'll give you like a story of why they're following you and shit like that. Like sometimes, but it's still the same thing. And then some people are just gonna be like, nah, like I just like your stuff or something like that. But every single response, most of the time, will be positive because you're the one sending them a DM. And now this is basically gauge them intent. So now you've basically got it out of the way. So now it's like cool. This person is interested in what I'm selling, essentially. So now you want to jump into the qualification process. So here you're actually looking to see if they're actually qualified for the offer. And this is an exact message I sent for someone that actually did book a meeting. So what you can do, you can mostly take a glance at the profile and you can usually tell if they're qualified or if they're not. So I like to have at least 5 areas for qualification for my offer. And then 2 to 3 of them should probably be figured out with a question. The rest of those other 5, you can have more than 5, but I like to have 5 as a good number. The rest of them should be obvious. What do I mean by this? So basically, let's say, for example, you're selling B2B. B2B is business to business. You're a business selling to other businesses. So let's say you're a business like agency and you're working with coaches, which is basically a business. Basically, what you're going to do is your criteria is obviously, do they have a business and do they look professional, aka the profile? These are obvious requirements, and you can usually figure this out by looking at the profile. So what most people are going to start doing is they'll go start asking the basic questions that you can literally see in the profile. Like, don't do this. You want to have real qualification stuff that gets people to be like, okay, cool. If this person has all 5 of these, they're qualified for my service. So for you, that might be like, oh, let's say for Quasi, that might be, oh, this person might have a business. This person might have this person might be making money with the business or something like that. You want to have those qualification methods. And then what you want to do, in the case that it's not obvious, you simply just want to ask it. So let's say, for example, you work with people that are in university or whatever. And let's say like you have an offer and you're helping people like, graduate and get job placements. Your basic question would be like, hey, are you in uni right now? Like, what are you doing in uni or something? And then they'll tell you and stuff like that. And then you want to start segueing closer and closer to basically getting them to closely to book a call. Because your 2 goals, anytime you message someone, is to figure out if they're qualified and see if you can actually help them on a call, essentially. So once you're figuring out if they're qualified by asking the 5 criteria questions, remember you need to ask like 2 to 3 of them in the actual DMs. Then you can basically present them with offer to book a call. So this person responded with a voice note. He was like, yeah, no, at the moment I saw you because a friend recommended to you. Your stuff looks interesting. So what I did was like, I saw his profile and I was like, hey, how long have you been scaling that new offer on your profile? And then they'll basically list out the problems they'll basically list out what the offer is and they'll list out the problems. And now you can you can basically transition and you can segue. So let's go back to the university topic because I think that might be a good one. Let's say you're helping people, graduate and help them get placed in jobs. Essentially what you would do from this on is you basically try to ask them like, oh, like, have you been applying to any sort of jobs? Have you been having difficulties? And then they'll list out all of the problems that they have. This is very important, by the way, because no one is going to book a call with you if they don't think that you have a problem that you can solve. Like, everyone's selfish, everyone's always thinking about themselves. So like, they always want to know, okay, what's in it for me if I book the school? So you want to list out the problems so that they will basically give you a reason why they want to book a call with you. So for any case that you might have, you want to figure out a question that's going to get people to actually list out problems for you. So what you do from here is you learn how to once you've figured out the problems, you now need to segue and transition. And this is the best way to segue and transition, in my opinion, at least. So once you found that inefficiency is a problem. So let's say someone said that, oh, I've been applying but haven't been really getting any like jobs and stuff like that. It's very easy to transition. Just use this framework. So for example, let's say let me use this example here and then I'll use another example. So let's say I'm trying to book a call for a service that helps people book more calls, so an appointment setting. What I'll basically ask them is like, hey, how have you been finding booking meetings? Like, I wouldn't ask them this question because everyone asks this all the time. I'll be like, how have you been finding booking meetings? Has it been easy? And then people are like, oh, I booked like 6 last week. Some people will be like, oh, I'm happy with that. Some people will be like, oh, I booked 6, I'm not that great. Let me tell you this case of what you would say if someone is happy with this. So what you would say is that you can basically throw in a case study or create some interest that you can use for leverage. So for example, you'd be like, oh, if you're doing 6 meetings a week, that's pretty good. Acknowledge it. And then you can be like, oh, I actually booked 32 meetings around last week. Is more sales calls something you've been trying to look for or not so much? So you're basically trying to gauge if this is a problem for them or not. If this is not a problem, there's no reason why they're going to book a call with you. So, and you always want to make the situation seem like a problem. And then once they do think is a problem, then they're going to book a call with you essentially. So now this conversation has 2 outcomes. They either become interested because now they're comparing their 6 meetings to your 32 meetings and they're wondering how you did it and they want to book more. They want to basically jump on a call with you. Or they saw what they were doing as not a problem and they didn't book a call in the first place. Both outcomes are fine, but because like it doesn't really matter, but you can't sell someone what they don't need. Like stop trying to sell people problems that they don't have. So as a summary, basically what I talked about is you gauge context and intent. So you basically gauge the intent to see if they actually want the thing that you're selling. Then you qualify to see if they actually qualify for the thing you're selling by asking them specific questions in a specific way. And then you segue by asking them to book a call because you figured out a problem that you can solve and you've given them the solution. And the solution is to hop in on a call with you by walking through the process. And then all you have to do from there is just tell them that we can do a consultation. And if I can help you, I'll present an opportunity. So you tell them like, hey, like there might be something to buy on this call. And they will ask them, how does that sound? And they were like, yeah, that's cool. And then you send them the link and then you follow up, get them booked in. Most of the time they should book in. If they didn't, just mark them on like a CRM and follow up. And you'd basically go from there. So this is literally the process. And I promise you, you're never going to have a calendar problem, especially if you already have an audience. Like, because this is like a broken G code. Like no one does this. Like, I mean, obviously people do this, but no one does this consistently. And this is how I'm going to also walk you through how we do this as well too. So basically what we'll do is we'll actually come into your business, help you out with the content that you're already creating, and then basically optimize it in a sense to a point that you can have a dedicated setter that will basically do all of the stuff I just showed you for you, essentially. So someone in your DMs every single day with all of the content that you're posting, with all of the likes that you get, with all of the followers that you get every single day, one person dedicated just sitting on your account, and the only focus is just to get people to book on your calendar. How sick would that sound? And how sick would it sound? The fact that you don't even have to manage them as well too. They would actually have to be managed by us, and we're the ones that are going to hold them accountable. And if they don't set the meetings that you want them to be set, you basically get a full refund of anything that you paid them. So if, let's say for example, you said, okay, I want 30 meetings this month, we'll look at it and we'll tell you if that's achievable enough. And then if it is, we'll tell you, okay, cool, this is the goal. If they don't hit it, then you get a refund and you still get to keep the person. And if you want a new person, you also get them come through as well too. Or you could go to the route of us still working with you to be able to get that appointment in the first place. So if you're still looking to book, like let's say 20, 25 appointments just from one account, from one person, without any headache of even managing the person in the first place, because that's a lot of the problems. A lot of the times people are just going to give you setters and then they'll be like, hey, that's your job. And then the set doesn't perform. And then you're not too sure how to manage them, all that types of stuff. If that's you, you don't want that to be your case. So if you're interested in that, there'll be a link. You can book a call on the top right. You can message me to ask a bit more details about how it all works. But the guarantee is there in place. And I promise you, even if you don't get the seller, just implement this. Like just message 10 people that have done this with this framework. I promise you, you will get replies and you will get results. So go do that. And you'd be surprised about the results. And I hope this video helped you with your appointment setting. If you want access to all of the docs, just message me and we'll go from there. Peace.